puberty-hit girl attends an extremely religious Christian school. Will she be able to suppress her inner fantasies and go back to normal? Or will her inner desires get the best of her? Let's find out. It's the fall of the year 2000. Alice is a sexually inexperienced but curious junior at a strict Midwestern co-ed Catholic high school where a very discipline-oriented teacher, Mrs. Veda, checks every bit of perfection in the student's appearance inside school premises. Alice is a very innocent girl who has urges and a curiosity of knowing everything happening around her. It's also because of the changes in hormones at her age. We've all been through this stage, haven't we? Father Murphy teaches them in their morality lesson that all sexual behavior not focused at reproduction inside a heterosexual marriage is a sin, punishable by everlasting misery. He goes on to say that doing anything for the sake of self-gratification is also a sin because it doesn't aid in the production of offspring. Alice has a hard time embracing her growing sexual desires after both Father Murphy and her closest friend Laura make her embarrassed of him. After school, Alice returns to her home with her parents. She eats some snacks, snuggles around with her dog, and sits in front of her computer. On her computer, she opens an online chat room platform called AOL. While using the site, she gets a personal email from a user, HarryChest1956, which contains some adult images taken during him having intercourse with his wife. At first, Alice is shocked to see the pictures and turns off the monitor. But later, curiosity hits her heart and she starts scrolling down the pictures. After some time, she again receives a message from the user asking about her age, sex, and location. Alice replies to him texting age 22, sex female, and location Iowa. Then the boy asks for a picture. Slightly scared, Alice sends him a photo of her friend instead. Seeing her photo, the user replies that she's very beautiful and then starts sexting her. Alice looks at every message curiously, as she's unknown about most of the words the user is using in their conversation. The user again sends her a nude picture and asks her if she's touching herself. Alice is curious and slides her hand inside her skirt to feel something strange. In the meantime, Alice's mother arrives home and calls her for dinner. She immediately turns off the monitor and rushes toward the kitchen. That was a close call. The following Monday, while Alice and Laura are having lunch at the school, one of her schoolmates, Beth, approaches them and tells them that she couldn't believe that Alice tossed Wade's salad in Laura's party. She also mentions that the whole school is abuzz with a rumor that Alice tossed a salad of a classmate, Wade, at a party over the weekend. Alice denies this, admitting to not knowing what the phrase even means. I don't even know what that means. After informing them about the spiritual trip that Beth has been on last weekend, Beth follows the other girls for lunch. Right then, Alice takes out the cover of a chocolate filling and starts to lick it. The boys present beside her lunch table burst out in laughter. Dirty Minds Heather and Wade also approach Alice and call her disgusting. Mrs. Veda hears about the gossip and forbids Alice from serving during Mass. Alice confesses venial crimes to Father Murphy later that day at the sacrament of reconciliation and receives a light punishment of 20 prayers, which she instantly and sincerely does in the school chapel. Father Murphy's and Mrs. Vader's remarks on sex are resounding in her head. Alice and Laura both decide to attend the school's next Kirkus retreat. They want to join as Alice wants to return to the path of righteousness and Laura wants to be accepted by Nina, a popular senior. When they arrive at the retreat campgrounds, Laura is excited to find that Nina is a retreat leader, while Alice eyes Chris, a hunky senior player of the football team who's also a retreat leader. Alice is found to be in Nina's group and she follows her to their respective rooms. After showing her the room, Nina asks her to hand over her mobile phone and watch if she has any. Alice only hands her the watch, keeping her phone with herself. In the next scene, we see Alice is attending a gathering in a hall, where Father Murphy starts telling them that they're called by God for the trip. He further adds that the trip can also be life-changing for them. Chris is friendly and enthusiastic, and after Alice is assigned to his group, the two begin to bond. Murphy hands them the forms asking them to circle the feeling that they have been feeling since last year. Alice circles all her feelings, including the word turned on. After the time is up, she tries to erase the circle over turned on but can't. She then crosses out the word with her pencil and submits the paper. Afterwards, Nina gives a very emotional speech about how she felt like her family ignored her. Everyone circles her and gives her a warm hug. That night, while playing on her contraband cell phone, Alice accidentally discovers that she can pleasure herself using her phone's vibrating feature. However, she stops soon after looking at the crucifix hanging in her room. On the second day of their retreat, all the students are going for a hike in the forest. After noticing Chris helping a girl who tripped over a stone, Alice also fakes an injury to get closer to Chris. She feels really nice when Chris picks her up and takes her to the nurse. Later, when Alice is inside her room, Nina enters and asks if she's alright. Meanwhile, Alice's cell phone vibrates and Nina confiscates her phone. Nina then tells her father, Murphy, that Alice was hiding her phone, and as a punishment, Father Murphy assigns Alice to cleaning duties around the retreat house. Alice starts cleaning around right away. While cleaning, she notices a computer inside Father Murphy's room. When she's alone, she logs onto the AOL chat room from Father Murphy's office computer to ask what tossing the salad means. Before she can find out, the sound of footsteps causes her to hastily shut off the computer and leave. But she runs into Nina, who lightheartedly guilts Alice about her presumed sexual encounter with Wade. She further adds that she's not mad at her for hiding her phone and also mentions that she's on the right path to change. Later that night, Father Murphy gathers everyone and reads the letters that are sent by the students' family members. Everyone gets emotional after hearing the letters being read out loud. On the third day of the retreat, Chris calls his group members and asks them to confess their regrets if they have any. Everyone tells about their sad regrets, but Alice doesn't have anything to tell. She just makes up a fake story of her dog dying. Later, when they're in the cafeteria, Father Murphy announces his discovery of an explicit chat in his computer and asks the unknown person to claim responsibility. He further adds that God is watching them and will punish the guilty. Alice gets a little frightened listening to this, but doesn't tell anyone about her deeds. In the next scene, we see the students standing in a queue outside Father Murphy's office. Alice enters his office where Murphy asks about her relationship with God. She replies that it's all going well at that moment. Murphy inquires her for circling the word turned on and asks if she still feels it. Alice replies that she was feeling that way before and doesn't feel it now. He later pushes Alice to confess to acting on her sexual temptations with Wade and doesn't believe her insistence that nothing happened. When Alice is cleaning the cafeteria, Wade comes and leaders around. Alice confronts Wade for his untidy manner and about his complicity in the rumors spread by failing to deny them. Murphy appears in the scene and takes Wade with him. Wade leaves without admitting his fault or apologizing. While cleaning, Alice witnesses Nina kissing then filleting another senior leader in the woods nearby. Alice is shocked to see that but fantasizes about it with the help of a mop handle between her thighs. She nearly gets caught doing the act. Alice shares this with Laura, who refuses to believe her as Nina as her idol. She accuses Alice of breaking into Father Murphy's office and ends their friendship, calling Alice a pervy psycho. Alice returns to Father Murphy's office and frames Wade for the earlier break-in, sliding his bracelet under the keyboard. When she hears Father Murphy approaching, she hides inside a storeroom to make her escape. She also catches Father Murphy masturbating to a pornographic video saved on his computer. Disgusted by the scene, she closes her eyes and turns her head around. Outside, she meets Chris, who asks her if she's okay. He also insists on talking to her to make her feel good. Finding herself alone with Chris, Alice kisses him wildly, but he becomes overwhelmed and runs away. That night, Alice finds herself alone and flees to campgrounds where everyone is singing the prayer. Alice stumbles upon a lesbian bar where she and the owner, Gina, commiserate about how the fear of damnation can warp in adolescent's development. Alice asks Gina about why everyone wraps around a fake image to impress others and hide who they really are. She further adds that she's afraid to explore and commit small mistakes, afraid of the fact that she will go to hell. Gina counsels Alice, telling her that she also had been in one of those strict Catholic schools and understands what Alice is going through. For a while, they talk about something else, which makes Alice regain her happy mood. Later, Gina gives her a ride back to the retreat, encouraging Alice to look into colleges in the West and East Coasts. Before Gina returns, Alice comes forward to ask her about the meaning of tossing someone's salad. Gina tells her that the actual meaning of it, which means licking someone's butthole. Both end up a laugh and then Gina leaves. On the last day of the retreat, Alice meets a socially awkward student while Father Murphy pulls Wade away. Laura makes peace with Alice after Wade is arrested for the explicit conversation incident when his wristband is discovered alongside the computer. She also informs her that Wade is gay and that he fabricated the rumor of Alice tossing salad with him. In order to conceal his true identity, Wade apologizes to God for all of his horrific crimes during a whole group's sharing session. Alice then takes a step forward to say something. Alice informs the retreat attendees that everyone has something to hide, and she encourages them to treat one another with honesty and respect like Jesus did. She advises everyone to accept themselves as they are and to enjoy life. Back at school, Alice reassures Chris, who's still uneasy, that they can simply be friends. Returning to reconciliation with Father Murphy, Alice freely admits that she watched a video of people having intercourse during the retreat. She also reveals the specifics of the sex tape she discovered and Father Murphy watching at the time. The consequences of her confession are known to both of them, but they do not discuss them. Father Murphy sets a more difficult penance of 100 prayers, but Alice leaves the chapel and comes home. After reaching home, she plays the videotape of the movie Titanic and rewinds the romantic scene of Jack and Rose. She attempts to pleasure herself to the romantic scene while she discovers a vibrator nearby. She's happy to see that vibrator,